Bend the knee. Valamogolis, everybody. Don Willie back again with another opinions of Ice and Fire. As you can see, I'm here talking about the imp, the half man, little man himself, Tyrion Lannister. And I'm not sure because watching this kind of live and lay back and all that other good stuff. So the sync is probably still off. I don't know what the hell happens with audio video sync, but it is what it is. Hopefully you still enjoy it anyway. Anyway, yeah, shout out to everybody who's in the chat room watching this live right now. My man David Adams. Can't forget about Ion Trone. Also, Alan Vanderson. My man JD, unfortunately, he had to step out. Diana Prince. Anybody else who pops up in the conversation. Oh, Broke Black Man. What's happening? What's happening? Um. So yeah, let's get to talking about the imp, the half man. This guy is a lot of people's favorite character, or if not favorite, one of the favorites in the story. And it's like, how could you not like him? He is witty, charming. Uh, get to see his insecurities, and feels a lot like a normal guy. So, you don't really pay attention to his size or anything like that because that's not what's important. What's important is how he's able to interact with people and how he's able to cultivate relationships, how he's able to piss people off, how he is able to pull off amazing feats such as big chain during Battle of the Blackwater, etc., etc. So we gotta give props with props. And what's up to Renee TV? Thank you for joining me live. Trying to get a little better at promoting some of the stuff on Twitter and social social media stuff. But anyway, so look, we all know who Tyrion is, the son of Tywin, or is he? Um, brother and sister to Jaime and Cersei Lannister. He is hated yet revered, and the thing about him is like you really start off, liking him as a person and character. We get a lot about his backstory, kind of early on. Uh, you get to see how he's treated not only by people outside of his family, but by his family. So the funny thing about him is when it comes to the people in his family, like we all know his sister despises him, but it takes a while before we find out exactly why. Jaime, we know that he has a pretty close relationship with Jaime. His father, we know his father. It's funny with him because like the thing with his father is he knows he can use Tyrion, right? He knows he can use Tyrion in order to get certain goals accomplished because he knows his son is smart. But he also hates Tyrion because he took the one love of his life away from him the day he was born. So it's a very interesting dichotomy when it comes to Tywin and Ion. Yo, you were crazy. Ion, you have issues. You know that, right? My man Ion Troll. You got some serious issues. Um, but like we learn about him being married when he was like 13 or 14, and that not working out too well. And it's funny because Uh, funny because when you first find out, and shout out to Sir LT and Jerry from Hype's Watch. Um, when you find out the circumstances surrounding what happened to his first wife, so the first thing we get is a story about how his wife didn't love him, but he's still been pining for all these years. And what Tywin did to that girl, um, wow. Like I don't know like much worse to human being period, but to make your son uh part of that. Um yeah, uh yeah, I don't even know what to say to that one. Shout out to Azum. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that and I don't want to screw it up, so got with the frog thing there. Um Now when you find out, about Jamie's involvement in that whole thing and it being a setup, well, not no, not so the way that he always thought of it was that she was a setup by Jamie to make Tyrion feel so he had done something. Um, and so when he finds out that no, the woman actually, girl at the time actually really loved him. I mean, that was absolute heartbreaking, beyond heartbreaking. Yeah, it's one of those things where now how do you look at your brother, the person that you admired for all this time? How do you look at him the same ever? And I don't think he possibly could. I don't think he possibly could. What? So, yeah, I don't blame him for being pissed off at Jamie. I don't blame him for actually saying that yes, he killed Joffrey. Um, but we'll get to that because I want to talk to I want not talk to I want to talk about um for that time. Because oh, and shout out to Big E. What's happening, Eric? Um, it's funny. So like, he's the first person to try to really get Jon Snow to be comfortable with who he is. When he first goes to the Night's Watch, right? Because when he first goes, when they go to the Wall, John is being pouty little teenager and is talking down everybody. Jumped till Tyrion and Donald Noy both from different angles uh get him to see like, oh, you kind of being a dick right now, and they both get him to find a way to accept that, yeah, even though he's a bastard, um he's had different advantages than other people. And please forgive me if the stream is kind of messing up right now. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. That is my bad. Uh, but I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for like 2 seconds here. So look, we see that even though he is he's seeing that even though you have people from the Lannister family who people might not like because of their kind of arrogant attitudes. Um, he John is one of the first people that we get to see that is like, okay, well, maybe the Lannisters aren't so bad. When we get introduced to the Lannisters, it's in a very very negative light, especially coming from Ed's perspective, Brand's perspective, Catelyn's perspective. So John is the first person that we see talks about a Lannister. It's not all bad. So later on, when we get more stuff between Catelyn, Tyrion, uh, we get to see how Tyrion's mind works in terms of pointing out flaws in the story that Littlefinger has told her about how he got that dagger. Um, Shout out to Ricky Hunt, Hail Hydra. Um, and you know, when he gets to the whole thing about you know thinking, okay, well, you know what? I'm here in the Vale. Put me in the Sky Cells, and he's like, how am I gonna get out of this? Right? They want to put me on trial. They want to do whatever to stop. They want to do whatever just to try to kill me because I'm a Lannister. How do I get out of this? So for him, he's like, oh, I got the perfect idea. I'll call for trial by combat, and I'll have Jamie as uh as the person who fights for it, because nobody is gonna be able to beat Jamie. It's just not gonna happen. Period. Point blank. So I got nothing to worry about. So with that said, now he's up there thinking to himself, okay, well, cool, I'll do this. But then when they try to thank you very much. Oh man, I'm sorry. Like, you know what? I really cannot break down this name today, unfortunately. Gentleman with the frog. I'm sorry, man. I like, it's been one of those days. But yeah, thank you. Um, so when he isn't able, like when they tell him no, you're gonna have to try by combat today. We're not gonna let you. We're not gonna let you have Jamie come here. And shout out to AU Pack Mule. Yes, OBS. Sometimes it does suck. Stick with it, like the look. Uh, but when they said, "Oh, you're not gonna, we're not gonna let you wait for Jamie Lannister to come here. You're having tribal combat today." He spotted Braun a while ago. You go back in his chapter. Uh, you first hear about Braun when they're on the way to the Vale and they get attacked by the Mountain Clan. So Braun had been there. And it's funny because like in the show, like I didn't realize how long Braun had been around, or that he had been around before they got uh to the Erie, until had watched it a second time. So like going back and rereading it again and realizing, oh, Braun had been with them for a while, since like the inn at the crossroads, or whatever inn that was where Catelyn took Tyrion hostage. He had been there from then, but he, Tyrion recognized, okay, this dude isn't wearing anyone's sigil. He must be a sellsword. Everyone knows that the Lannisters are the richest, so I can pay this dude to fight this trial by combat for me. And he was right, luckily for him. You know, um, he treated Braun pretty good. I mean, yeah, he paid him, but Braun Braun seemed like the dude that kind of really was his boy, for real. They really seemed like they were friends, but Cersei came through with a better offer. Tyrion knew what it was, and just kind of had to accept that. Then there's his relationship with Podrick Payne. Uh, and it's funny because there's the whole running joke in the show with him sending Podrick with a bag full of money to one of Littlefinger's brothels and coming back and saying, the prostitutes wouldn't even take my money, and trying to figure out like, well, what in the world is it that you could have possibly done that the prostitutes are like, yeah, we're not even going to take your money. And I think that we're never getting an answer to that question in the show. So anybody out there who's wondering, stop asking. We're never getting an answer. And yeah, we might, shit. I don't even know if we're gonna see Podrick again. I mean, we should because he's again, but we didn't see him do shit last year at all. Might get we might get more glimpses of Podrick with more lines. All right. Um. So I'm trying to think of what else is it, because I want to touch on the lighter side of Tyrion before Tyrion goes to the dark side and kind of becomes, all Kylo Ren on him. Uh, because like his his uh during his march back to King's Landing, where he's able to get the mountain clans on his side. That was a pretty interesting exchange. And then you had Tywin throw him in the vanguard of the battle against some of Robb Stark's forces. Um, wow, what? That's crazy. Hold on, it says the video is about 3 minutes behind the live chat. Sorry about that, man. Damn. Yeah. Sorry about the whole lag issue. I'm really trying to figure something out. I'm hoping I don't have to go and buy a new because this shit cost me a lot of money. For this. So thank you a lot, Apple, fucking up my stream. Anyway, before people start to think I'm crazy right now. Back to the subject. So, after Tywin sees that Tyrion is able to pull people to his side, and also the fact that Jaime got captured, right? He's up there thinking to himself, okay, how can I use Tyrion, to hold things down for me while I'm at, while I'm in the war, whatever. He sends him to King's Landing and is like, hey, you know what? He's gonna be the hand of the king until I get home. And so now the funny thing with that is you got Tyrion who finally gets to King's Landing. It's on Joffrey's birthday or whatever, or maybe after Joffrey's birthday. I don't remember exactly. I know in the show it's on Joffrey's birthday, but it might have been different. So don't quote me on that one. Don't start bashing me in the comments about how did you not know. At least I remember part when that actually got there. So he gets to King's Landing, tries to do things, tries to make things actually better, for the situation, because Joffrey beheading Ned was one of the dumbest things you could possibly do. He did it, didn't work out well because it started the whole War of the Five Kings, and Tyrion is just trying to clean up the situation as much as he possibly can. So so now you have a situation where not only is the person who is the king, Joffrey, is opposing Tyrion every chance he gets. You also have Cersei, who is opposing Tyrion just for the sake of opposing Tyrion. Stupid, absolutely. But what do you expect? Cersei can't really can't really to her in the brains. That's the word I was looking for. Brains. So, the thing that Tyrion is able to, the things he's trying to get accomplished in terms of bringing other people to their cause. He had the whole thing, getting Dorne on their side by giving Sella. Cersei wasn't too happy about. Um, you have him with the whole wildfire thing, and the funny thing too is like so Tyrion, um, not Tyrion, but like there's the whole thing with Littlefinger where he's like, oh, I'm gonna get the Tyrells to my side. Don't worry, I got a plan for this or whatever. And the thing that always kind of struck me is why didn't Tyrion try to kill Littlefinger? Because he really should have, if you think about it, right? So Littlefinger blames Tyrion for trying to kill Bran. Catelyn makes Tyrion aware of this. When Tyrion gets back to King's Landing and Peter Baelish is there, instead of doing the thing that I thought he probably should have done, which is try to get Baelish killed, he kind of tries to play the game and still underestimate. That's the one thing I would ask George if I ever got the chance. Well, that's not the one thing. That would be one of like a few things that I would ask George if I got the chance. Like why didn't Tyrion try to kill Littlefinger? Um, but enough of that. Let's get back on. Tyrion's trying to put together alliances. Some of them work, some of them don't really work. But he comes up with the idea of he knows Stannis is going to invade from the sea, based off of the people that he has under his command, and knowing also that the only way Dragonstone by coming because not going he's not going to try to that'll treacherous. So he devises this plan. Has all the blacksmiths in the entire capital going at making this big chain. Shout out to King McKay and Todd Fowler. Um, he has them making the links for this giant chain, and that chain was absolute genius because the thing that it allowed them to do was to box in um to box in Stannis' fleet, or at least enough of his fleet that he was able to set the Blackwater on fire and stop many of Stannis' people from escaping. I wish they could have done that in the show, but maybe there was some logistical reason for why they weren't able to get that accomplished. But it would have been awesome to see. But wait, fuck logistics, CGI. They gotta CGI the damn chain. But I digress. Um, so here's here's the thing. So then after you have Battle Blackwater, after the Battle Blackwater, Tyrion is down in the dumps, and another question I would ask George is, at that point, when you know that you're not gonna get recognition from King, you're not gonna get recognition from your father, whatever. Don't drink yourself to death. Obviously, why did he not go back to Castle Rock? Is what I'm wondering. Um, because what use was he in the city at that point? Why stay in the city when really it was of no use to you to be there? You're already suspicious that either your nephew or your sister tried to kill you, right? So if that's what your thoughts are, that one of your family members had just tried to kill you, Look, your father didn't disinherit you, so you still have the money. Take the money back to Casterly Rock and live your life from there. I mean, if you can do some other shit, do some other shit. But staying in King's Landing, especially with Shay, um, not the brightest move. Not the brightest move. I wouldn't have done it. But I mean, come on, look at his face. Look at the scars on this man's face. And then in the books, he actually lost like most of his nose or something like that. I'd have been like, you know what? Okay, you guys got it. Got it. Done. Fuck this shit. I'm out. That's what I would have done if I was in Tyrion's place. Um, but okay, so he decides to stay. You know, things don't get much better for him. And pardon me one moment. I got parched. Arizona iced tea. All the things. Anyway, so after the whole battle of Blackwater and just all the events that happened with Joffrey basically trying to clown him, had his father trying to clown him, they marry Sansa in order to stop her from marrying one of the Tyrells. As soon as possible, I would have been like, I gotta go. You know, even if it's gotta be at night, man. A night flight, hop on a ship, and sail around Dorne or something, man. Just get the hell out of there. That would have been me. But it is what it is. So now let's think about the whole trial by combat situation when it comes to him being tried for Joffrey's murder. Now, some people say he shouldn't have had the outburst like he did, and I'll agree, but you got to think about it. The man was under so much pressure. He's being accused of a murder, and there are people who absolutely know that he didn't do it and still want to put him on trial anyway. He's being told that, yeah, okay, you'll be sent to the wall. You know, if you, yeah, just you can take the black or whatever. Be sent to the wall, and just live out your days. Watch, and then Shay comes in and just totally destroys his mood. So I mean, like, how is he supposed to take that? Well, now the thing about it is Tyrion was dumb for falling in love with a woman that he prostitute. Why in the world would you fall in love with? You openly paid her to be with you. It's not a thing of, okay, well, I didn't know she was being paid. Someone else paid her. No, you paid her. You took the money out of your pocket and put it in her hand, and somehow you expect her to be loyal to you and not the money. So yeah, Tyrion was a dumbass on that one. You know what? God damn it, got me thinking. All right, not much came out of that one. Sorry. Anyway, so after that whole debacle with the trial by combat, him losing and finding out, the truth about what happened to Tysha, his first wife. Tyrion is obviously upset. Goes finds Shay in Tywin's bed, calling Tywin, her lion of Lannister and all that. Um, And in the books, it's way different from the show. Because in the books, it's just straight up cold blooded murder. He just rolls up on her, sees her there, and she's kind of like, "It's not my fault. I didn't want to do it." And he's just like, "Yeah, well, I want to do this," and strangles her to death. Um, Now there have been still many questions as to how Shay ended up in Tywin's bed, and listen, at the end of the day, Tywin might just have been a hypocrite. Put it like that, maybe Tywin was just a damn hypocrite, and it's just one of those things where he's like, all right, well, as long as I keep it under wraps, as long as no one knows, then it should be fine. It should be fine as long as no one can actually trace her back to me. But, that didn't work out so well for Tywin later on. Tarnished his legacy. Well, not in the eyes of everyone. I'm pretty sure that they, like they kept that under. But amongst the people who were really in the know, it was like, oh my god, I can't believe Tywin slept with a whore. And not only a whore, Tyrion's whore. He took Tyrion's leavings. Oh my god. So now the thing that with Tyrion confronting Tywin, awesome scene. It didn't change it too much, show to book, and from book to show, It didn't change it that much from book to show, but the crucial part they left out was Tysha. But then again, it wouldn't have made sense since Jamie didn't tell Tyrion about what happened to her in the show. So it is what. Um. Now, where the show and the book differ, greatly on Tyrion, is the aftermath of this whole thing. In the books, Tyrion becomes like a downright asshole afterward. He gets to Pentos, and yes, okay, he's suspicious of Illyrio. He's thinking that Illyrio is gonna poison him because, like, well, fuck, why am I even here? He wants to get drunk all the time. He talking down to as people as possible. Uh, and it's funny with him getting hemmed up by Jorah, then running into Penny. Now I remember the first time of reading the whole encounter with him and Penny, right? Because like seeing it in my mind, like with the way that it's described on screen, it is it is absolutely hilarious because it's like, all right, Tyrion sees the dwarf like kind of out the corner of his eye. There's a crowd of people. The dwarf keeps on getting closer, and it's like if you've ever seen like one of those videos where people have cats and they're like peering around the corner, right? And it's like every time they look around the corner, the cat gets closer to them, but like the cat stops, right? And so that's kind of how it read to me, was like every time he turned his head from one way to the next, like she was closer to him, and then he notices the dagger in her hand, and it's like, oh shit, she's trying to kill me. Why the fuck she's trying to kill me? So that was just a interesting thing, and then like, and he is downright hostile to her. He is downright hostile to Penny. Um, and the question remains now because one of the last things that we see with the two of them is her singing a song, and apparently that is a song that Tysha sings. So he's kind of trying to figure out whether or not this is his daughter. Thankfully, he hasn't slept with her because, oh my god, if he would actually slept with her and found out that was his daughter, whew, oh boy, I wouldn't even know what to say about that one. George, you are a sick bastard. George, George. I don't even, I have no idea what to say to you because, yeah. Yeah. I have no idea what to say to George when it comes to some of this stuff, man. It's the craziest. Uh, and pardon me 1 second because I tried to fix something and I think I might have messed up with the audio. Give me 1 sec. I'm just trying to fix it here. And there we go. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, in the books, Tyrion is kind of a is pretty much a downright asshole. And I'm wondering what his progression is going to be later on. Because in the show, they haven't really given him that same downward spiral, and it is it is actually kind of annoying. Honestly speaking, it's actually kind of annoying that they didn't give him that downward spiral in the show. Like in the show, he's still kind of happy-go-lucky, and he keeps on trying to tell these lame jokes with like a honeycomb and a jackass walking to a bar or some stupid shit like that. And I hope they never finish that joke because that joke is just fucking lame. Seriously. Um, and Aaron, I will be taking questions in about 2 minutes, so just give me a chance to just finish up my little uh my soliloquy on Tyrion, and then I will be opening up for questions. All right, but thank you and Kat for joining me live. Um, so yeah, for whatever reason in the show, they decided not to give him that darker side, and maybe it's because they didn't want to turn people against Tyrion. Because again, in the books right now, Tyrion is kind of an asshole. Uh, and I can kind of see why. He's been through some of the worst times you can go through as a human being. Forget just as just as a dwarf or whatever, but as a human being, I think he's been through some of the worst stuff in the books. Period. So, you kind of got to give him a little bit of leeway when it comes to that. Um, Look, I want to see where George goes with him. In the show, he's pretty much become one note at this point. He's the wise guy who can think his way out of any situation. He Yeah, he can think his way out of any situation, and if you give him 5 minutes, unless you're Cersei or Tywin, you're gonna fall in love with him. So that's who he is in the show, in a nutshell. You break it down. Everybody likes Tyrion except for Cersei and Tywin, as long as you give him 5 minutes alone to talk to you. In the books, not so much. Right now, I think what he's signed up with the Second Sons or one of those sellsword companies. He's trying to get them to flip to Daenerys, and we'll see whether that actually works or not. Yeah, we'll see whether that actually works or not. So anyway, you know, real quickly, really wrap it up before I go on to questions. Tyrion is a great character, especially if you're reading the books. It's good to see the roller coaster ride that is his life. I wish they would make him a little more dynamic in the show, but I think with them trying to wrap it up as quickly as they are, we're not going to see any kind of um any kind of growth when it comes to him as far as uh having that downward spiral and being able to rise back up again. I think they did that basically in the first couple of episodes of season 5. It was pretty much, oh, okay, I'm down in the dumps, and then like after he meets up with Daenerys and everything is pretty much all good again. So that didn't last too long. All right, but all right, so now I'm gonna go to questions. So if you guys got questions in the chat, put them up there, and I will be happy to answer anything you got. So we're gonna start off with Aaron Francis. Uh, what's your thoughts on Jamie and Cersei dying, leaving the Imp as Lord of Castle Rock? Tyrion takes his revenge from Tywin by actually shitting on his legacy. That is a very good question. I mean, look, I do think that Cersei and Jamie are going to, die same way they came in, and I just together. My prediction for how Cersei and Jamie die is she gets mad at him about something. He tries to stop her from doing something very heinous. She wants to continue with that. She stabs Jamie somewhere, like maybe in the side or something. Uh, but while she's doing that, Jamie chokes her to death. So as he's choking her to death, he is actually bleeding out. They both die. The end. Um, I don't think that Tyrion would destroy Tywin's legacy. Uh, Maybe like, all right, he would destroy the kind of ruthless thing about him, but as far as like maybe bankrupting the Lannister family or whatever, or leaving Castle Rock in ruins, I don't see Tyrion doing that because Tyrion is still a prideful man. He's wanted this his whole life. I don't think he's gonna fuck it off. I could be wrong though, but we'll see what happens. And Marilyn Bentley, what's going on? How are you, my lady? Uh, there's a question earlier from. I will get this name sooner or later. It's like, was Shay always Tywin's whore, or did he start betting her after Tyrion was arrested? Um, hmm, that is. Well, see, here's the thing, right? So in the show, it is made very obvious. Like Cersei points out Shay at the wedding, right? We don't know in the books when exactly Tywin learned about Shay. Like he learns about Tyrion, having prostitutes pretty early on. I'm sure of, but when he learned exactly about Shay, that's the thing that I have absolutely no idea. And they don't really give us too many clues as to that. And shout out to Marie, Game of Theories. What's going on? Um, And I don't know what's going on with the connection, folks. I'm sorry. Like, it's funny because this thing is on YouTube. Is oh, okay. Why in the world is it saying and this? Yeah, I don't know. It's saying that the stream is kind of messing up on me. I'm not exactly sure why. I wish I could give you an answer for that, but I honestly do not know why the stream is doing things the way it does. I haven't touched anything from last week, so yeah, sorry. All right, all right, next up from Ty Fowler, do you think the Unsullied can beat Westerosi Knights? All right, so no, no. I mean, look, if you put them all on a battlefield, right? Uh, there are things that you have to take into account as far as um what you call it like in terms of strategies, armor, horses, um let's see what else, horses, trebuchets, etc., etc. I mean, if you're talking about a one-on-one battle with a fully armored knight, got his shield, his sword, versus an unsullied with just like your spear and shield. Um, I mean, it's possible, but I would say no. I would definitely say no, just based off of just the military advantage that the knight would have with all the armor. That's the thing that for me will put it over the edge. Like when we see them in the show, you know, I think the closest that you get to what like because read the books, read how they're described as being armored up, and then go look in the show. In the show, everything like because they try to give everybody their own look for their own regions and all that. In in the show, the closest to me that you get to what the knights should look like from what they're what based on how they look in the books is somebody like uh Gregor Clegane season 1 or Loras Tyrell season 1 or maybe the Knights of the Vale in the Battle of the Bastards or Servardus Egan season 1. Everything else, you know, it really don't look like what we would consider for knights. So put somebody, put like 1,000 people dressed like Loras Tyrell versus 1,000 people dressed like Grey Worm. Who do you think is coming out on top there? I'm gonna have to go with the Knights on that one. All right. Next up from my man David Adams, and shout out to Isaiah Alexander. Coming in on the tail end of the stream. Q&A. When is Tyrion going down, or is he? I'm not sure if you mean like he's going to die or the like. But I would hope that he's not gonna die, because that would be kind of messed up. Um, yeah, I honestly, give me 1 second here. All right. Yeah, I honestly don't know if he's going to die, but I mean, like, you got to think about it like this. Uh, Tyrion is like one of George's favorite characters, and other than Sam, Tyrion is probably the most like George. So I mean, unless George thinks he is going to die some kind of horrible death, uh, I can't see Tyrion, dying. Um, yeah, I really can't see Tyrion dying. You know, that would be really messed up. To have Tyrion dying or something like that. Uh, because again, everyone loves Tyrion. So why would you? Everyone loves Tyrion. They love reading Tyrion chapters. Why would you kill a goose that laid the golden egg, so to speak? And shout out to Meridian Mormont, from South Africa. What's going on? And I see spots, coming in on the tail end here. Um, Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get things back in order. And please forgive the issue with the buffering. I'm really not sure what's going on with that. I'm trying to get all this stuff worked out. YouTube does not make it easy sometimes, especially when you're working with OBS. So, um, and also shout out to Smoker Hondas. Thank you for joining us. Now, does anyone have